Awesome. Thank you for the vodka. It's perfect. I really suck at reputation management, don't I? I'm already drinking on stage. I remember Tom, when I met you, and Duncan at Distilled told me that it makes no sense that I do reputation management because I'm one of the most crude, outspoken people, and it's very fitting because I happen to work at Outspoken Media. So hopefully I won't curse too much, and we'll get through this. And I'm in 4-inch heels, so if I fall off the stage, that's going to be awesome for my reputation. So let's try to make sure that doesn't happen. Okay, usually people like to talk about their professional background, and I'm actually going to talk about something a little bit different today. I want to talk about my dad, which Laura mentioned. Outspoken Media would not exist without my father. I had worked for a number of different companies, and frankly, I can't work for someone if I don't respect them. And that was what was happening, is I was finding a lot of people that had good services, but they weren't connecting strategy and brand and all those big words that we keep hearing about here on a high level, and I wanted to start something different. And my dad said to me, well, you should go start a company. Well, I was 26. How do I start a company? I don't know how to run a company. He said, you'll figure it out. Partner with people, do something smart. So I dove in. The thing is, my dad's not just my hero, he is a hero. My dad is a chief of operations in Jacksonville Fire Department, and he has over 900 employees. And he is that guy that pulls you out of a house when it's burning. He's been hurt, burned my entire life. I would come home from school, and my dad smelled like smoke. When I smell smoke, it smells like home to me. Crazy, a little weird, right? That warped my perception of the world, because most of you, when you're a kid, you hear certain bedtime stories, and those bedtime stories are about princesses and Cinderella and that type of stuff. My version was like this. So my dad has this game that he plays with my siblings who are really young right now, and he says, hey, how many car accidents happened in the entire city of Jacksonville today? And they have to guess. Why are you doing this to small children? I don't get it. But it's really cool because I think for us, it gives us a different perspective of the world. So yes, I do feel like the world is a scary place, but I also now know how to manage things. And maybe that's why I'm attracted to reputation management. I like to be that person that rushes into something when everyone is rushing out. I don't have the physical prowess of my father, so I can't rush into a building and pull you out. I probably couldn't get myself out of it, but I can do it with your reputation. And so that's what I'm here to talk about. I spoke at Search Love recently, back in October in Boston. And I think it was a really good presentation. I got a lot of really good feedback out of it, and thank you, Distilled, for having me. The problem was, no one really cared. There were maybe 3 people in the audience that gave a shit. That was it. Because how many of you have a reputation problem that you're battling right now? Raise your hand. This is an interactive presentation all the way through. Okay. So not that many of you. So most of you are looking at this going, wow, I'm going to be able to check my email during her presentation. Fuck you. Pay attention. Pay attention. This is important. Stuff happens. Shit happens. And when it happens, are you ready for it? Most of the time, we're not ready. Penn State happened. Who could have predicted that? That's fucked up. That's really awful. And the entire school is suffering. Football, suffering. But football, how about everyone that graduated from there? How about the entire faculty? It's going to take decades to recover if they ever do. I got this email from someone about 2 weeks ago. No joke, 2 weeks ago. Search Love Boston was back in October, and he emailed me and said, I saw you speak at Search Love. I was impressed by your good ideas, your realistic perspective, and outlining the results people can expect from ORM, and I didn't care at all. Crap. All right. That sucks, but at the same time, I'm glad he listened a little bit, and he actually ended up moving to a new company that's in an industry that has a lot of complaints. So he was reaching out and saying, now I do care. And I wasn't really that prepared before, but now I'm ready, and I need to know this, and I need to work with someone. So now we're talking, but talking also means money and strategy and time, and I really like his approach because he recognizes that he needs a long-term plan. He doesn't want me to just come in and clean up his search results. He wants a long-term strategy that's going to allow them to affect organizational change. And that's going to be the theme throughout this whole presentation. Because playing dead is not a long-term strategy. How many of you have seen that Geico commercial? Hey, honey, I got your little possum. and the possum's laying dead, and then eventually pops back up. Audience participation time. This is going to be really scary. I have a theater background. I am actually technically more of a techie. I've got over 1,000 hours in the Thespian Society. Not Lesbian Society, the Thespian Society. So, you know, it's drama. We're all a little free there. But because of that, I'm not so good on stage. And I hate that feeling of being in the spotlight. So I figured I'd go ahead and share it with all of you. So we're going to do something fun. I need a light. We're going to find someone out there, and you're going to help me. You there, blue shirt. You have a mic? Where's my mic runners at? Dude, you better run. I've only got 39 minutes left. Thank you. All right. Something just happened to you. Scandal. Your CEO just got caught embezzling funds. It's in the newspapers. Maybe some other stuff was going on. It could have been embezzling funds. He might have just slept with someone that he shouldn't have slept with. I did have a client one time that had that happen. He got sued by his mistress because he didn't leave his wife. I don't get it. But what are you going to do? Are you prepared?
I'm under this desk right here.
You're hiding?
I'm hiding.
Okay. Does your CEO have a good reputation right now? Are you
Yes.
the CEO?
He's right here. He's right here.
What does your name look like in the search results?
I don't know.
You don't know? Uh-oh. I don't know if you're ready. All right, we need one more person. Who else is out there? Who else wants to play this game? Give me a spot somewhere. Hey, guess what happened to you? You represent a really large consumer products company, and your product just hurt a bunch of kids. What are you going to do?
Just go out and apologize.
Apologize? That could work. What about those search results?
How are we going to prevent it in future, and what are we going to do to avoid it and accept it happen, and just face the reality. Just be there and support the community.
How long do you think it's going to take you to recover from that?
It could be long term. I would probably explore all the media. I would probably release a video. It'll be very brutal because there'll be a lot of people complaining, but you just have to handhold and just step out and solve the problem and inspire everybody within the company to not get impacted by negative reputation.
It's going to take you about 3 years. So when a big brand disaster happens, we can clean up the search results maybe in about 6 months to a year. If we've got a lot to work with, sometimes we can do it much sooner, but it's going to take you on average 3 years to recover from something like that.
I'll create a landing pages on PPC and tell them exactly what they need to do or what we are doing.
Yeah, that might work. All right, let's, now that we know a little bit more about whether or not you guys are prepared, let's talk about insurance. Brand insurance. We need insurance from ourselves because stupid things happen, things break, this girl's on the road. We need insurance to protect us. I hate Seattle. I actually loved Seattle, and then I came to SMX Advanced in June, and someone broke into our car and stole my Mac laptop, my employee's laptop. One of my employees got attacked by a bird. I had a credit card that got fraud on it from like Mississippi. Someone was buying stuff at Smoothie King, and it all happened in like 1 day, which was weird. So I hate Seattle, and at that moment I realized, oh my God, thank you, I have insurance. We don't have insurance for brand, and brand is an incredibly fragile thing. So McDonald's, 70% of their value from shareholders comes from their brand. There are probably a number of you that are on this list in this room right now. What % of your company is made up of just brand perception, and what happens when disaster strikes? So your brand's really important. What are you doing today to protect yourself from something that could happen? Or phrased a little bit differently, how do we insure a brand? Well, there are a number of things that you can put into place. You can start setting up social media policies. Most of you probably already have these. You can look at community management. Most of you are probably already investing in that. Set up listening tools like Radian 6. Make sure that you're really investing in brand development campaigns. Look at customer service. and audit how customer service is doing their job. Do they have the training that they need? Do they have points of contact where you're taking the conversation offline? Really audit that entire process. And this one is a really interesting one that people forget about, affiliate management. How many of you have affiliate campaigns? A lot of you out there. Do you have policies in place for what the affiliate can and can't say? Because we have found, especially with autocomplete, that often whatever the company name is paired with scam is being generated by affiliates who are just trying to rank for that. And when we're able to control the affiliate, the autocomplete results drop off. So make sure that you're really effectively managing that relationship. In the next 10 years, there's going to be a 21% increase in the number of PR jobs. Why is that? It's due to the increase in news results and social media mentions online. So news right now, in the past, has been archived. So most newspapers, if you want to find something, you go to the library and you look it up on microfiche, right? They're starting to take all of those newspapers, and they're now publishing the old newspapers online. So if you had a lawsuit or something that happened in your past, and you thought it was all long gone because the local newspapers covered it back in like '82, now that we have this thing called the internet, a lot of those newspapers are saying, hey, we have all this old content, and everyone keeps saying content is great, so let's go publish all that content online. And now you, with this sleeping problem that you thought was 3 decades old, all of a sudden it pops up to bite you in the ass. Greenpeace did a really interesting campaign recently to basically go after Shell. And I'm sure a number of you saw this happening on social media, but in addition to all the social that happened, there were a gazillion newspapers that covered it. So this was a really awful problem for Shell because it struck both in social media and in all the news results that are now appearing because of Query Deserves Freshness for all searches for their name. Here are the different campaigns. They created a YouTube account. They created a whole microsite. They created a Twitter account that got a ton of hits. And a lot of people didn't even know that it wasn't Shell. It was like a mock attack. We're seeing reputation management on the rise. And this is just insight data from Google. Online reputation management, same thing. Crisis management and crisis communication, it's kind of even. This is not a new field. Reputation management is new because it's a new term, but crisis communication is not new. We've always had disasters happen. And I don't think that our industry has really caught up to that. So this is what Mike King's saying. Like these big ad agencies, they know what they're doing. They show up in suits, they look good, they look sexy, they have the language. I'm an SEO. I don't know how to talk to a gigantic corporation about reputation management because I walk in there and go, well, I'm going to clean up your search results and I need to create profiles. They have a whole PR team that knows all about crisis communication, and we have to get the language and the skills in place to be able to talk to them. So frankly, you should give a damn, because this is just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and more people are going to screw up. So what is online reputation management? This is funny, and I just wanted to share it, because Wikipedia sucks. But I like this little tactic part about how spam bots and denial of service attacks to force sites with damaging content off the web entirely. That's not how I do it. Some of you probably do it. Yeah. Was that Richard? No, yeah. Okay. If Bob Brains was here, he'd say he may have done that. So what is reputation management? A lot of us think about it in terms of cleaning up the search results. There's cash for gold. Registering our profiles, know them is great, go do it. Spending content. I don't do it that way, but I know a lot of you do, because I get your clients when they get pissed off. We acquire complaint sites. Someone writes a site about you and you don't like it, just buy them. We pay off complaints, or in the case of ripoff report, we get held hostage. Quick note on ripoff report, when you are trying to take down a complaint, their pricing, not the most transparent, ethical thing in my opinion. You can have pricing based on the number of reports filed, the number of physical locations, a flat fee, and then if you have trouble paying, they require you to give them financial records of yours proving hardship. I don't like them. A lot of us think of reputation management as flooding review sites with positive mentions. Hopefully this law firm or that this person is not a client of any of you, but these are obviously not real reviews. Who leaves a review and always mentions the client name exactly as it should be? I like this. I was not sure who I could turn to for help. I'd refer anyone to the Nagelberg Bernard Law Group. They handled my case great and helped me out. I'm really glad I hired them. Really? Do you do that? Like after you work with an attorney? Do you write something that generic? And they've got like 30 of them. We use crowdsourcing to sculpt search results. Again, I don't, but I know that many of you have. This is Mechanical Turk. You can go and set up a hit. And according to their terms of service, you're not supposed to be able to say, hey, just go search for this term. That way we can push down all those negative mentions of scam. So instead, people are getting more creative in how they phrase it. Do a search on Google and answer a question about the search results. That's different. All of those tactics work. However, they don't fix the problem. He's really cute. You're treating the symptoms and not the problem. And I want you to stop doing that. So let's go ahead and pivot this entire presentation. Let's talk about actually getting into the business and changing it from the inside out. Most of our clients don't want to listen. And that is probably really hard to hear. I know I've got a couple of you in the audience. It's not that you don't want to listen. It's that there's reasons that you're being held back from doing your best and being able to give us the work that we need to do our best. And we need to stop saying, fire that fucking client. You can fire them. There's a point when you do have to fire them. But we have to be more sympathetic and understand the ins and outs of that organization and how we can work within it, especially when we're dealing with a middleman who has his hands tied. Organizational change requires 5 different elements. And this is from The Advantage. It's a really good book. Go buy it, bestseller, business strategy. Nothing I'm saying here is rocket science. It's all been said before by really brilliant business analysts that aren't me. But in that book, he talks about trust. If your organization is going to change, you have to have trust with each other. You have to have conflict, and most of us don't want to have conflict. I'm going to get off of this stage later. I'm going to ask you guys, how did I do? And I guarantee everyone's going to go, you were great, you were fantastic, oh my God, you were awesome. I don't want to hear that. I want you to tell me what I could have done better. That's conflict, but it makes us better. You have to hold each other accountable and be committed, and you have to do that within your business every day. You have to be trying to go after positive results. For all 5 of these things to work, you see amazing businesses get stronger and have amazing brands. But most of the time, companies fail here because they can't get past these. So most ORM issues are due to a problem in one or more of those areas, which means that changing is going to take a lot of work and a lot of concentration and a lot of team building and those funny little like fuzzy, touchy, happy things. And now this is going to be the most difficult part of this whole presentation. What is the most common reason for an ORM problem? They don't want to like yell out. What do you think the most common reason is? Neglect by who? By the company? The entire company? Bad leadership. That's where things get screwed up. Because you have a leader with a certain vision, fears, all this ego built in. I'm a CEO. I get it. I feel it. I know it. And it's really hard to admit mistakes and change. And this is where reputation management problems happen. So going back to the examples before, CEO scandal, that was caused by the CEO. Defective products, someone allowed that product to go out and improved the materials that were used. Disgruntled employees, someone is managing employees. Those are all eventually going to roll up to the actual leadership team. You have to be more accountable to your business if you don't want a bad reputation. And if you're going to hire someone like me, I'm not just going to clean up your search results. I want to know what you have done to say, I'm sorry, to your point, I'm sorry, and we're going to do something about it. So who do we usually have to get approvals from for these reputation management contracts? This is the fun part. The same leadership. That makes it really difficult. You just came to me, said, I fucked up, and I need help. But yeah, I don't want to do any of that. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to talk. I don't want to put anything in PR. I'm scared. I don't want to have a blog. I don't want to have to answer comments. How do you moderate those comments? What if someone doesn't like me? People don't like you. It's just a matter of like fact. About 1/3 of you in this room probably don't like me. I'm okay with that because the other 2/3 do. That's just life. You need permission to stop listening to the leadership that caused your problem. So I'm here to say, you have my permission. Stop listening. And Mike, if they don't listen, what should you do? Fire that client. Yes. So here's my little manifesto for reputation management. We will work with those that are deserving of our services, not just those that have the biggest pocketbook. Britton, I was talking to her the other day. Love Britton. You're my BFF. But Britton is an amazing account manager. Mike already said it yesterday. And she said, what kind of clients do you not take on? Like ethically, morally, when it comes to reputation management, it's probably the #1 question. We don't want to take on people that are skeezy. I've had puppy killers come to me. A vet, for real. They were killing puppies. Like not one puppy, like many puppies. Their Yelp reviews were awful. I've had people come to me and say, oh, that company over there, they have the exact same name, address, and phone number as us, but that's not us. We didn't do all that stuff. That's someone else. Really? They have your name, address, phone number? Don't lie to me. Just because you have a lot of money, I'm not going to take you on. We will work with the organizations that are open to change. We will work with the leadership that is willing to admit its faults and move on. We will set very clear expectations even when they appear dire. And this is very, very important. Control expectations. As a client, you tell me what we can expect. Because if I don't know and you're just promising me all these things, but then it never comes true, I need to know that. I need to not be spinning my wheels thinking we're going to be able to get all this work done. I need to know that up front. And as the agency, you have to be very clear that even if you give me all these things, it's going to take a very long time. And we may not be able to achieve results, but we're certainly going to try. We're going to let the data speak for itself. A lot of people ask, well, how do you sell services? How do you tell someone that something is wrong and it needs to be fixed? I let the data do it. Because if I just go in and say, hey, your baby's ugly, they usually don't want to listen to me. But if I show them the data, it's much, much easier to have a leadership team go, okay, this big anonymous group of people, that's what's happening, versus you looking me in the eye right now. We won't take shortcuts, but we will streamline the processes. And we won't pay people off, but we will pay for the best tools to get the job done. We will make a difference. And this is really preachy, but this is like my whole platform lately. I don't own a company because I just want to make money. I own a company because I want to be accountable to myself, because I trust myself. And I know what I'm doing and not doing. And I want to make a difference. I want to make a difference in the lives of my employees. I want to make a difference in the lives of my clients. I want to make sure that the clients we work with are able to continue employing their employees, and that contributes to livelihood. And on a global scale, that contributes to a positive and healthy economy. That's a really big goal. But, all right, that's my rant. So that's the what. How do we actually prove the business case? We're going to listen. A lot of clients say, hey, we just want to like redecorate. Yeah, I just want you to clean up the search results site. That's okay? We just want to redecorate. That's not your problem. What the hell happened to your house? Oh, what is that? We see it. They don't, because they're so into it. We just need to put paint on the walls. When there's paint on the walls, then people will come in. No, they can't get in the door. So the perceived problem is usually not the real problem. But we're not going to tell them that immediately. We just want to listen, absorb. We're going to identify organizational allies and threats. Usually we talk about SWOT analysis in terms of market research, but I want you to do it within the company and find the team members that are going to help you. And they're going to be there, and they're going to listen to you. And they're going to have your back when they're talking to their team members. Then we're going to conduct a needs assessment. And for this needs assessment, we're going to start collecting a whole lot of data. We start very simply with the autocomplete results. This is Will Reynolds' favorite, right? He just doesn't hit enter. So we're going to look at the autocomplete results, and here's SEO Moz, and we can see everything looks good. The only thing in there that would be a little O or ME is the SEO Moz review. I'd be curious to see what they look like, but I'm sure they're very positive. We're going to look at the search results. What do those look like? We're going to look at social mentions. This is just socialmention.com. It's very simple. It's very free. They have sentiment analysis, which is always buggy, but there's some really good data in here. And there are a million tools out there where you can just start looking at the social mentions, gathering a ton of data, putting it all together, using APIs. We're going to look at customer feedback. This is Get Satisfaction. Get Satisfaction is cool. When we talk about reputation management, we want to look at different metrics. So some of those metrics are, were we able to affect change in autocomplete? Were we able to affect change in the search results? But also, how about if it's a customer service-driven problem, how many customers were you able to get back to? Did every single question that came in get answered? Were they happy? Get Satisfaction allows you to look at that. We're going to look at customer loyalty. Joanna Lord, amazing SEO Moz. She's speaking tomorrow on customer relationship optimization, I think. So she told me about something called the Net Promoter Score. And what this score does is it asks one question, and it's supposed to be a predictor of basically what your customer relationships look like and their loyalty to you. And it's just one question. On a scale of 0 to 10, how likely are you to refer a friend or colleague? And that's it. And they score, and I think it's like 0 to 5 means that they are a detractor from your business. They're not going to refer you. I think it's 6 to 8, something like that, means that they're kind of passive. And then like 9 and 10 means that they're a promoter. And your score is basically the percent of detractors minus the percent of promoters. And that's one way that you can quantify brand. And you can look at your reputation, and you can start to say, okay, how many of our clients or how many of our customers are willing to pass this on? And it's a very simple metric, and it's easy to track. Conversions. This is just a quick look at some Google organic visits, and we see that there is significantly less conversion rate to actual sales and revenues. So why is that? Is it because of a reputation problem? That can be an indicator, and that can be a metric that you can start to track. We can look at a competitive analysis. So going back to the autocomplete results, maybe you want to kind of measure yourself against your competitors. SEO Moz has a lot of really awesome branded queries and features and content. So Whiteboard Friday, that's content that they created that we expect every Friday, and we look for it and we search for it. Same thing for APIs. How many of you have ever started typing in the tool of anything, and if it has an API, it does very well. So if you're a software company and you have a reputation problem, create an API. That works really good. Or a toolbar. This is Raven, and Raven I love. We use them. We white label their services, so I've got nothing bad to say about them. But their queries don't look as good as SEO Moz. I think that they do a very good job of marketing themselves, but they don't have as many pieces of content that would make me want to go and continually search on those pieces of content. And a lot of those search results are actually reviews, review, or even, in my opinion, the worst, Raven SEO versus SEO Moz. I don't want you to see a competitor when you're searching for my name. Audit corporate communication. This is just a gigantic list of social media policies, and you can go here and see these social media policies for hundreds and hundreds of organizations. And it's a really nice database, and you can start to create your own. Audit customer communication. Okay, fruit is not like the thing that I'm most passionate about, and I know I've talked about the fruit guys a lot lately, but they're so cool, and I was so impressed by this. I wanted to be one of those hip bosses that got my team something, and I thought about getting them donuts, but they're all like girls on diets, and they're like, if you buy us donuts, I'll hate you. I'll punch you in the face. So I said, okay, I won't get you donuts. And then I found that you can have fruit delivered to your company, and so I signed up, and it's organic fruit delivery once a week. Very simple. Well, when I signed up, they sent me a quick email. Hey, remember, if anything happens, you can call or email us. Okay, cool. You know, that's pretty standard. And then shortly after that, I got the receipt, and in the receipt, it said the same thing. Hey, if something happens, remember, you can call or email us. Okay, thanks. And then thank you again for your order. We're just confirming you that your order is being processed. Okay, sweet. And not only that, but they gave me the name of a real person and her email address. Next, I got a phone call, and I got an email. It's just fruit, guys. But they wanted to make sure that I was being taken care of, and that I knew that as an organization, they would return our fruit no matter what, no questions asked. So if we have one plum with like something on it that we don't like, we can just call them up and they replace it. Super easy. We had someone last week, they deliver the fruit and someone has to sign for it, but it gets delivered really early, so we never knew that. So every time we show up, there's like a box of fruit. And so we never put it together, and someone named Morena is apparently signing for our fruit, and last week she decided to just take it. So we're staging something. We're going to like attack her one day. But we decided that we would call them up and say, hey, we're really stupid, and like we didn't know this, and you guys deliver this really early, and we don't get into the office that early. And they said, oh, don't worry about it. We'll send you a new package, and we'll go ahead and change your delivery schedule to 9 o'clock. Awesome. And I contacted that guy because he had emailed me, and I had a relationship with him at that point. Also, every time I get my invoice, they reiterate it again. Now, why does this matter? Well, for reputation management, if something goes wrong, they don't want me going online and putting a review. They want me to call them, take the conversation offline, manage the relationship. Because I have someone's name, it's much more difficult for me to go online and anonymously say, you guys suck. On top of that, we connected on Facebook, and we're like making babies. So recommendations. With our clients, now that we've done the needs assessment and we've listened to them, we want to start making recommendations. And this is a really costly lesson that I learned in the last month. I did that Whiteboard Friday. Greg mentioned it earlier about switching from the vendor relationship to the consultant relationship. And it sounds really good in theory, but it's much more difficult to implement. And we had a client that came to me after that video and said, hey, I want to give you $8,000 a month, and let's do this. This is going to be awesome. And we were so excited. But what happened is that we didn't acknowledge the work that he had put in for the last 8 years to keyword research. And this was a link building contract. It wasn't reputation management. But the result of that is that within a couple of weeks, he kept getting frustrated because we kept trying to give him new keywords. And he's saying, I know my keywords. I've been doing this for 8 years. I know my industry. And we're going, yeah, but you came to us. We have to give you something new. No, we don't. You don't have to give the client something new. You have to acknowledge what they've done and see if there's a way that you can market that, or in certain cases, help them fix it, or in certain cases, build on it. But make sure that you're acknowledging what they've done. Look for areas for improvement. That's really cute. I don't even know why it's here. It just was cute. Quick rant. Limitations are an area of opportunity for content creation, but just for branding. Take content creation, make it branding, make it real company shit, whatever you want to call it. So limitations, in my opinion, are really, really good. So you remember when Will said his top secret? What was it? Don't hand in her? That's it? Oh, wait, here. That's really fun. I think I'm funny. If you want to know how he's doing that, just go to google.com. All the links will be in the PowerPoint afterwards. So ORM is not magic, it's SEO. And I think it's funny that a lot of you don't want to do ORM, or you do it, but you could do it on like a really kind of hidden, yeah, I guess we could do that for you, we'll see how it goes. It's just SEO. It's not that complicated, and it's just social media, and it's just branding. We're just trying to build reputable, relevant, authority-building content. Now, how do we do that? So when talking about limitations, I just did I don't know why, we had our projector stolen as well. It's been a tough month at Outspoken Media. Why is everyone stealing our shit? So someone walked in while we were in Seattle. That was like hell week. Never had that happen before. Someone had a voodoo doll and was like stabbing it. So someone walked into the office where we had one employee, and she didn't lock the door, and she didn't hear them walk in. They just walked out with our projector. Really depressing. So I just typed in projector. It was on my mind. And I saw that they had projector and then calculator. Well, why does a projector need a calculator? So think about it. If you're a projector manufacturer and you're trying to sell a product, there are a number of different options out there on the market. And if you have a projector, like these have projectors, right? What's the distance that you need with the amount of light that you need, the size of the room, the bulb in the projector? It's a huge, complicated equation. And so this company, ProjectorCentral.com, put together this really fun little calculator, and it gives you diagrams and different diagonals and, I don't know, dials. Diagonals, what is that? Different dials. And you can just put in the manufacturer and then also whatever the product is. And this is great because what I think that they're doing is they're not just looking at the limitations of maybe one manufacturer or one product. They're actually helping elevate the entire industry because this service is very helpful to every single manufacturer because you now know what projector you need for your space and for the amount of light that you have. So new opportunities, what do you need? You must fit the resources, budget, and time frame of the client. This is where we fail a lot of the time. We have really big ideas. And we take them to the client, and they're like, well, that's good. I've got a code freeze for like 3 months. OK. Let me go back and think about that then. What do we do? It happens. How about their budget? How much money do they have? Again, we've got a really big idea, but it's going to cost you like $20,000. Or time frame. They may have stuff that they're trying to scale up for the holiday season or something else. So we want to make sure that every recommendation fits. Warning, complicated is not going to make it through legal. This is just a basic thing. And I talk to my team about this all the time because a lot of time they have those big ideas. And big ideas are good in theory. But if it's going to require the creation of a whole bunch of sites and all this like back and forth with PR and with legal, it's not going to happen. So just try to find a way to make it happen very simply. always try to boil it down to the most actionable thing. Make sure you set clear expectations for achievable results. And Mike, what happens? What happens if you're not actually meeting those results, or if the client isn't? Fire them, exactly. It's okay to fire them if you've done all of these things. So let the data speak for itself. I mentioned this before. This is a little sentiment analysis tool for Twitter. You pop in QuickBooks or FreshBooks, and it's going to be much easier for me to go to a CEO and go, hey, actually, we look really bad compared to FreshBooks right now. And I know they're not a direct competitor, but kind of. Yeah. FreshBooks has the best brand of all time. People love you. Implement. Understand the org chart. So we talked about this before, just really making sure that you understand the ins and outs of the organization, because you want to be able to push things through. You want to know who your threats and allies are. Talk to the client immediately, and as the client, tell your SEO or your ORM person, because they're going to need to know what needs to go through who. Start process mapping. So this is the Air Force blog assessment guidelines, and basically process maps should be in every one of your organizations. You should have process mapped, like what the rules are for trying to go to the bathroom. Like, you cannot scale unless you have processes in place. And when it comes to reputation management and crises communication, you have to have process maps in place before the disaster hits. So the Air Force put this guide together, and we work with our clients to develop something similar. And it's a really cool guide, because it's like, what happens if you have someone online and they're just a troll? I call them crazy. Like, what do you do with the crazies? Don't poke the crazies. But what if it's someone with a legitimate complaint or customer service issue? Build out that process. Set up monitoring tools. This is just a gigantic list of like every single monitoring tool known to man. There's a lot of them. I'm not here today to tell you about them. Go figure it out. There's like 150, I don't even know. Hold after action reviews. Again, this is just basic business strategy. Any military people out there? You're all very silent. After action reviews, have you had to do many of those? No? Okay. You have? All right, after action reviews, why are they so important? Because you want to be safe. You want to make sure that if there is something that was mission critical and something went wrong, how do you prevent it in the future? You want to hold each other accountable, and you want to get sure that it's not going to happen again. So hold an after action review, and this is just a funny slide that I found from like an Army site. An after action review is not a place to just bitch. And this happens in all of our organizations. We get together and go, oh my God, that client, or oh my God, that coworker. Don't do that. Don't waste time. Set a meeting time and say, within this period of time, we're trying to accomplish something. And what are we trying to accomplish? We want to know what the intended results were. We want to know what our actual results were. We want to know what caused those results, and then how do we improve? And it's just very simple. And yesterday during Will's presentation, Rand spoke up and said, hey, this whole thing that we're talking about, how do we actually value SEO's impact on brand? How do we do that? Does anyone know? I don't know entirely. I don't think there's a secret answer to it. We have to work hard at it. But before we can value brand, we have to, before we can value our impact on the brand, we have to know what the actual brand's value is. So I mentioned at the very beginning that shareholder value for like McDonald's was at 70%. Well, how do they know what that shareholder value is and that brand value? There's 3 different approaches to this. You can look at the cost of production. Reproduction means if we were to recreate this entire brand, so for instance, the entire brand of Outspoken Media or the entire brand of SEO Moz, if something happened and we had to start all over, how much money and time would that take? That's value. The other option, look at the cost of comparable industry transactions. So there are other companies out there that are probably very similar to yours. And I've got like 1 minute, I gotta keep going. 1 or 2? All right, cool. So look at other people and make sure that you can basically measure that transaction and see what they sold for. You can also look at income, which is just cash flow from your future earnings. So those are 3 different models, and once you know that, it's much easier to measure your impact. Once you've got your proven results and you have your data, push harder for the recommendations. If they're not listening, Mike, what do you do? Fire them. If it is working, get your party on and move on to the next level. And we're going to go really, really fast through this. At SearchLove, I talked about ORM for SERP domination, and I also talked about this in a whiteboard, a webinar over at SEO Moz. So at SearchLove, I shared this case study where we have a client that came to us, oh no, you can't see it. And the client said, hey, we actually want you to rank for a very competitive short tail keyword. And it wasn't really reputation management because they didn't have anything wrong, but they knew that it wasn't SEO for us to just rank for one position. They wanted us to overtake the entire page. So how do we do that? So back in October, this is what those search results look like. My stuff, more of my stuff, still my stuff, me again, someone else's shit. And at the very bottom, we were back. So we own 50% of the page. And today, for both the one keyword and then a modification of the keyword, on one, we own 60% of the search results, and on the other, we own 70%. And that 70% looks really good, and they're just buying their way to the top. And we're making slow, steady, awesome progress. So ORM can be a really awesome tool for just annihilating you SEO people out there. I'm an SEO too. But. So to summarize, are you prepared? We can't insure or replace our brands. It's very, very difficult. It's this intangible asset, and what happens when we lose it? It's devastating. We can protect them. So I want each of you today, the only thing I want you to do is just to care. That's it. Very simply put, be brave and care, and start implementing, putting all those policies in place, using listening tools, talking to your team, making sure that you have a strategy so that when the shit hits the fan, you're running in, you're prepared, you're not scared. You can face it. And that's it from me. Thank you. Vodka.
I'm blown away by every time somebody comes up and presents, my brain just is like, what? There's too much to remember. Yes. There's so much good stuff in that. Let's take time for 2 questions before we go off, and we've got a lot of time for lunch, so if you guys have some questions, is that okay? Can we do 2 questions? Anybody? Or are you taking off? Okay.
Usually people don't want to ask questions
over there in the
reputation management.
Hello, how are you?
Good,
so my question is, I know every crisis is different, and you have to kind of create a custom plan for each situation. But are there any best practices you could recommend for creating a crisis communication plan ahead of time so you don't have to scramble each time to create a kind of a ad hoc solution?
Absolutely. Those best practices are going to be pretty long, though. So what I would do is follow Outspoken Media on Twitter and our blog, and within the next month, I'm hoping to have the Reputation Management Guide, which we put out years ago, completely rewritten, big, awesome. It's going to talk about proactive as well as combating something when it does happen. So just look for that, because seriously, it's going to be gigantic, and you can email me anytime and ask as well. But yeah, it'll be free. But link to us, please. I'm a whore. I want links. Sorry. They're embarrassed for me. I said whore.
I know, it's lunchtime. Okay, thank you, Rhea, and that was fantastic. Thank you very much again.
I'm going to give you